Test prep is a daunting task. Preparing for a test takes time. It takes work. It takes consistent practice. But where do you start? How do you get going? Find out in today's video, the fourth of my 10 keys to SAT and ACT success. I'm Brooke Higgins, founder and lead instructor of Crosswalk Test Prep and Tutoring. Today, I'm presenting the fourth of my 10 keys to SAT and ACT success. The fourth one is borrowed from Stephen Covey. The fourth one states, begin with the end in mind. Beginning with the end in mind essentially means start with the end goal and then plan towards that goal. Start to figure out what accomplishment or the end looks like. And in this case, the end of your test prep journey is a test score. So the first thing you need to do, the way you start this test prep journey, the absolute number one thing you have to do first is to begin with the end in mind by researching the school or schools you are interested in. Look up those schools, go to their websites, find out what SAT or ACT score is needed for admission. It's usually located in the admissions section under student profile or some other data that they have about admitted students. Start here. Find out what your score is that you need to get into the school of your choice. A quick sidebar is probably important here. You should know that not all schools use test scores in their process of admission. Many schools believe, and they follow the reports produced by the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, that these tests are biased. They favor those who speak English as a first language. They favor those who have the resources to access study materials. They favor those whose parents have higher levels of educational achievement. And the test optional movement has been growing over years. This is even before the pandemic. As we sit here now during a pandemic, universities, most if not all, have said test scores are optional this year. So that's a huge thing. That's a huge bonus that you could say, you know what, I don't have to do test prep this year. Now, will that change be permanent? I'm not sure. If we look at historical data, we can see that the movement to test optional has been growing, even before the pandemic. But many schools pre-pandemic were still holding on to test scores in their process of admission. And why do they do that? They do that because when they receive thousands and thousands of applications, they need one standardized measurement to basically cull the herd, right? To figure out who is ready for college and who is not. So it's one of the measurements that they've used. So the question is, will these tests go away? Not so sure. They may not go away because the tests are paths to scholarship and financial aid for many students. They may not go away because the selective schools have continued to rely on them. So if they're not going away, what your job is as the student is to begin with the end in mind and to look at the school and look at the score that you might need to achieve admission to that particular school. Now, if you research your school and you find out they're test blind, you're good. Stop this video right now. Do not worry about test prep. Test blind means they're not even gonna look at your score. But test optional, it's your option. And if you can get a score that gets you in the conversation, it's in your best interest to do so. But what is that score? That's the end. That's where you start. You begin with the end in mind. So research the school or schools of your choice. Find out what test score, ACT or SAT, you need to get into the school of your choice, and that starts your test prep journey. Once we know that number, we can now strategize around the test to find out how many questions to answer, how long to spend, etc. That sets up your strategy. So do that first. Do that right now. Look up the school or schools of your choice, find out the score you need, write it down, because that's the end. And that's step 4. We begin with the end in mind. Stay tuned for my next video, the 5th of my 10 keys. Like the video, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.